Hey guys, welcome to the Asian Hustle Network podcast. My name is Brian.
And my name is Maggie.
And we interview Asian entrepreneurs around the world to amplify their voices and empower Asians to pursue their dreams and goals.
We believe that each person has a message and a unique story from their entrepreneurial journey that they can share with all of us.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Asian Hustle Network podcast. Today, we have a very special guest with us. His name is Rango Lee. Rango built a successful real estate company from scratch in the Seattle, Bellevue, Washington area with only $500 in his pocket, no college education, no startup money, no partner. Rango was able to get his real estate company to a $4 million a year company. His company, Warring Properties Century 2, was the leading minority-owned and most diverse real estate company in Washington state, with 125 agents on their roster and managing 3 office locations. He also successfully developed, built, and sold high-end residential properties in Seattle's premier neighborhoods. He has a true rags to riches story, from fleeing war-torn Vietnam in the middle of the night on a small rickety fishing boat to overcoming poverty living in the low-income Seattle housing projects. Rango's latest passion is a podcast and YouTube show called Blessed Boaters. The show talks about what it's like to flee Vietnam as a refugee and the ups and downs of trying to obtain the American dream, turning pain to power. Rango, welcome to the show.
Hey, what's up, Maggie? What's up, Brian? Thanks for having me.
Definitely. Rango, you have an amazing story. We were listening to your other podcast interviews, but we want to recapture your life experience on our podcast as well. So walk us through everything, man. Like, where were you born? What was your upbringing like? And how did you find your way to Seattle?
Yeah, for sure. And thanks again, man. I really appreciate this platform you guys are giving people, celebrating Asian excellence, especially during this time of a lot of change. It's good that you bring people together. So I really appreciate you guys.
Definitely, man.
Sure.
Happy to have you here.
All right. Yeah, man. Where do I start? Originally born in Vietnam, 1978, the war was over in 1975. So imagine, being born right after a 20-year war, what my parents were going through with me and my siblings. It's like Syria, Afghanistan, now you're living in it. So my parents were, always ambitious, even though they wasn't that educated. They just wanted something better for themselves and for their kids. So everyone was fleeing Vietnam. They were starting to hop on the refugee boats. And my family was no different. They said, we got to go. We can't let the kids grow up like this. And so they took a chance. We tried twice as a family and almost failed. The boat almost sunk and we almost got captured. So then imagine that, like trying to flee Vietnam twice and failing. Most people at that point would have given up, right? Like, it's not in the cards for my family to leave. God's not allowing it. I guess I'll just settle. But my mom, being the strong person she is, she said, no, we got to try again. So on the third try, we finally hopped on a refugee boat. It was a smaller boat, smaller fishing boat with about 20 people. My mom was 27 at the time, and I was 1, and my brother was 3, my sister was 6. And, my mom alone hopped on this boat with, 20, 25 people that she barely knows to set sail into the great unknown, risking, everything like, starvation, drowning, getting caught again by the Viet Cong and getting thrown back in jail. She risked it all, just for that reward of a better life in America. And, by the grace of God, we survived the boat trip. And how I know about this story was about 4 years ago, my mom on a long car ride from Canada to Seattle, I just asked her, I was like, Mom, how did we get here? What happened? And, all of our lives, it was very painful for her to tell the story, but she finally let us know on that car ride. So I took notes and that's why I got all these details of the trip. And God bless my mom, man. That's my hero for sure. And yeah.
Definitely shout out to your mom. Similar to my parents too. My parents are also boat people that escaped, and it's really difficult for them to talk about their experience, And the horrific incidents coming on the boat, dealing with pirates, dealing with people passing away from the treacherous journey, escaping a country, escaping their home country that they've known all their life to be in a new place where they don't speak the language is, I can't imagine like how your mom felt or how my parents felt doing something like that. You know, it's, you just don't know. And it's hats off to them for still making it happen and giving us a better life.
Yeah. And I feel like, you know, my mom, she passed away about a year ago. And I feel like I'm doing this show and I'm doing these, you know, this interview kind of to carry on her legacy. And I feel like I know her more now that she passed and my dad passed. And I feel like I'm getting to know them more than when they were here. Because when they were here, you know, Asian parents, man, all they do is just work, tell you to go do your homework, you know, tell you to, you know, get ready for bed, go to school, but they didn't really communicate like how, you know, American kids and parents communicate. I think a big part of it was the language barrier. You know, like I spoke very little Vietnamese, she spoke very little English. And I think that was fun. I think that's why I started the show Blessed Boaters. And, you know, I had to start off the story about like how resilient and brave my mom was, and all moms and dads out there that took a chance for us to have the life we have today, you know?
Definitely. And rest in peace to your mom. I mean, she must be so proud of you and your siblings. You know, it takes so much courage and bravery to leave everything behind them to provide a better life for their family, you know, and that is their dream. That's their American dream, to have their children, you know, raise their children in a whole new country to provide a better life for them. And, you know, you've done so much. And, you know, that's the reason why, you know, we have you on this podcast for you to share your story. And we're so excited for you to share your story because you have accomplished so much. And they must be so incredibly proud of you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, you know, talk about what else you learned about that journey. I think that, you know, we were listening to other podcasts as well, and you mentioned a part of your family had to stay in Vietnam, and you had to leave with your mom, you know, while you knew that you had family left in Vietnam.
Yeah. So when we left Vietnam, there was three kids and my mom, and we have an older sister named Tung. She was about 10 at the time, and as we were on the dock about to leave Vietnam to go on this voyage, she was raised by my grandma, and so she only kind of knew my grandma. So she was crying on the dock. You know, we were tearing her away from like someone that really raised her whole life. Because back in the days in Vietnam, it was normal for one of the siblings to be taken care of by the grandma and grandparents because, you know, the parents had to go work and there was already three of us. So it was just more natural for her to get raised by my grandma. So that was a hard decision to leave her behind on the dock and set sail without her. But you know, by the grace of God, about 10 years ago, we was able to sponsor her and her three kids over from Vietnam, and you know, they're doing really well in America now, and they're assimilating. And that's all my mom again, man. Like, you know, she was taking care of us in America, trying to make ends meet, you know, and then she's taking care of my sister's family in Vietnam and her aunt and uncle in Vietnam, her brother and sister in Vietnam, and just sending money back. And, you know, now, you know, growing up, I always wonder, like, Mom, why were you so cheap? Like, why can't I get some nice video games or clothes or shoes like all the other kids? And she counted every penny. Now I know why. It's like, so she had to, you know, take care of her family in Vietnam and make sure our lights were turned on. So, you know, it's a trip sometimes.
Absolutely. So talk about your first hustle, Rango. We know that your parents were in the food business, and you were very involved in that business as well. And did you always have like this entrepreneurial spirit, or did you kind of, you know, were you kind of nurtured into this entrepreneurial spirit because you saw that from your parents as well? And really want to hear about your first hustle.
Yeah, you know, I definitely got that hustling mentality for sure. You know, I think I first started when we first got to America. We went to Fort Smith, Arkansas. You know, Fort Smith, Arkansas is a small chicken town, really. It's known for Tyson chicken and farming. And there was a small population of Vietnamese people there. And my parents, growing up when we were there, no education. So they had to like wash dishes and clean toilets and, be a janitor. And then somehow after about 5 years, our family was able to make it in America. We were living the American dream. We owned a house. We had 2 cars, we had weekends off, and I really loved that time. And, for some reason, it wasn't enough for my parents. And so I don't know whose idea it was, but they wanted to open a Chinese restaurant. And we're not even Chinese, we're Vietnamese, right? But Chinese restaurants was the thing in the 1980s. And so my dad, mom, they both quit their job, put in all of our savings into this Chinese restaurant. And I remember that was really hard times for my family because I never got to see them. I was at home by myself, mainly when all my siblings were at the restaurant working, because I was at that age where I was too young to be working at the restaurant, but I could stay home and watch myself. And I just remember it was a struggle. It was a struggle. They were arguing about money all the time. My parents, when we first came here from Vietnam, they were cleaning toilets, washing dishes for other people, started a landscaping business. And for some reason, and then my dad got a job at Whirlpool and my mom got a job at Tyson Chicken, the big chicken factory. And that's where my family made it in America. I felt like we had 2 cars, we bought a house, we had the weekends off, we were going up to the Ozark Mountains, going swimming in swimming pools. And I really liked those times because I felt like we made it. And then I don't know whose idea was, one of them wanted to open a Chinese restaurant. And, I think I understand, like that was our, our next level up. Like they didn't want to settle and they wanted to get more for their family. And those times was hard. I never saw them. We had the restaurant for about 3 years. My mom and dad had never had formal entrepreneur experience running a restaurant or being even a cook. And they were both just diving in for the opportunity. And I just remember it was really hard times. They would fight a lot over money. And I never saw them. I would just be at home by myself, taking care of myself at like 8 years old. When all my siblings were at the restaurant, God bless my brother, Big John. He was like 9 years old at the time. They took him to the restaurant. He was like the backup cook, backup dishwasher. And of course, like, the food wasn't good and people didn't come back for whatever reason. And long hours, oh my gosh. I remember I saw a sign of our restaurant. In the front of the sign, it said, open from 9 a.m. to 11:30 p.m., 7 days a week. And, but that I learned a lot though, seeing them hustle hard, work hard, having it fail. But I also learned a lot, like, if you have a dream, you got to go for it, and they went for it. But that's where I first saw my first hustle, was what my parents did in Arkansas.
That's awesome, man. And your parents, shout out to your parents. Running a restaurant is never an easy thing. Extremely difficult. My parents are also like small business owners too. So I know what you mean, where it's like, as a first generation immigrant kid, it's like you do everything that your parents need you to do. Well, hindsight 2020, when you look back at it, I'm like, wow, my parents really violated all these child labor laws by accident, but we're just based on survival, just based on hustle. And it makes a really unique experience for us to experience. And just hearing your story again, it's like really reminiscent of a lot of first generation people, especially Vietnamese Americans. A lot of us went through the same things, So out of curiosity, so from age 21 to 26, like you were a party promoter in Seattle, right? And eventually you own your own nightclub. Like, that's amazing. Like, I can't imagine doing something like that at all. Like, can you kind of walk us through how you got into a hustle and then kind of link it to where you are today? Like, how did that transition come about for real estate? This is, to me, it feels like 360 or 180, like how does this happen?
Yeah. Well, talk about the transition first, like how you got from Arkansas to Seattle. Like, what made you even want to move to Seattle? And then how did you land in the promoting business?
Yeah, for sure, Maggie. So after the restaurant failed, my parents were arguing a lot. And, it didn't work out with their relationship for whatever reason. You know, they say 70% of marriages end because of money disputes, and the other 30% is like infidelity. But you know, I saw it firsthand. You know, I was young, and that's what happened. And you know, they were arguing a lot. So then it didn't work out. So my mom, she had one more start over in her. So she said, we're either going to go Orange County, where we knew a lot of Vietnamese people lived, Orange County, California, or Seattle, Washington. Thank God she chose Seattle, Washington. So we moved to Seattle, and without my dad, it was just us 4 siblings now. And, you know, we were dirt poor when we got here. We lost the restaurant. She's a single mother. She has no education. So we moved into the Seattle housing projects, low income. And that's where I first started seeing like what poverty was. In Arkansas, it was just, you know, farms and tractors and like really like suburb. But when you get to Seattle, you know, we're in the hood, and that's where our families had to start navigating like, you know, drugs and crimes and just, you know, food stamps and welfare. And that was a tough time for our family. But, you know, I take all those times to heart because, you know, I wouldn't be here today to tell the story that, you know, you can get out of poverty if you have a, you know, handout dealt to you. That wasn't the best hand. You could try to do your best to play it well and, you know, make something of yourself and, you know, so you could take care of your kids. So that's what my parents did. So eventually my dad followed us up here to Seattle, and but that, you know, the hustling, you know, especially hustling, starting a business as a couple, like it's sometimes hard when it doesn't work out. Man, it's just, you know, and I saw it firsthand. And so the couples that are out there have businesses like you guys, you know, just, you know, keep tight, you know, keep that goal in mind to make it work, because it's going to be some challenging times. So, yeah. Shout out to the couples hustling together. So yeah, so how I got into promoting after that was I had a buddy that grew up in the housing project with me. His name is Amir, and he started nightclub promoting at like 18. He was, you know, throwing parties at like warehouses, and I was like one of his street team soldiers. There was like 8 of us that was helping him on the street team. I was like the lowest pecking order. I was like the 8th guy that barely made the cut to help him out. Now, you know, we're passing out flyers to like, you know, hitting up parking lots with flyers, or hitting up clubs when people get out with flyers, or like emailing people to get on the mailing list. And we were throwing like raves and stuff. And it was fun time. You know, I was 17, 18. I was partying anyways. Might as well, you know, make some money from it with Amir, and he hardly paid us. I mean, we probably got like $20 a night doing what we're doing, but we're just having fun doing it.
Yeah.
And go ahead, Maggie.
Oh, no. Keep going.
Yeah. So then, you know, but then I was, you know, my whole life, up to that point, I never accomplished anything. I was just getting by, you know, I had no confidence in entrepreneurship. I was just normal, regular 16, 17-year-old, just chasing girls and smoking some weed. You know, no confidence to do anything. So after about a year and a half of promoting with Amir and seeing how he did really well in it, and I wanted to be like him. I was like, man, I wish I got the girls, and I wish I had money, and I wish I had the cool car and the clothes. But I'm Rango. You know, I'm the 8th guy on the pecking order. I can't be like Amir. And then there was an opportunity where the company shut down. Like, so we expanded, and we wasn't promoting more because for whatever reason. And then at 20, my brother came to me, my older brother, Big John, he came to me. He goes, hey, I know the owner of this nightclub called the Royal Club over in Skyway, Seattle. And he's looking for a promoter. And I told him, you're a promoter. And I was like, yeah, I'll go meet with the owner. So it was funny. I was 20 years old. It's a 21 and over nightclub. And I go in there, the owner, you know, he's a older Vietnamese guy. He's like, hey, you promote before? I was like, yeah, for sure. You know, here's all the flyers I did with him. Amir, and we threw these raves, and we made a lot of money, and, you know, we could get a lot of people. And he goes, all right. He goes, you been old enough? I go, yeah, here's my ID. You know, so I showed him my brother's ID. He's like 21, I'm 20. And he goes, okay, this is the catch. If you want to promote my nightclub, you got to start this Wednesday and this Friday. I'll give you 2 nights. And then we're talking about, it's like Monday. I go, what? That's no time enough time to promote. And he goes, if you want it or not, it's yours, because they were really slow there, right? And I go, yeah, F it. I'll take the chance. You know, I could finally be better than Amir and take my chance at something and make something myself. And I remember that night, that whole week, I was so motivated, right? I called all my friends. We're all like 19, 20 still. They couldn't even get into the club, but I was like, don't worry. I know the security guard will get you guys in. And that first Friday, man, that was like 10 people. And I was like so devastated. I was like, wow. Like we used to throw parties with Amir and had like 300-400 people, and there was only like 10 people. And that was my first like failure in life. And I was so distraught that night where I was like, man, no wonder I never wanted to take a chance to do anything big because there's failure involved and it hurts. And I'm like, I want to just go back to being a normal person and without all the responsibility. And I remember it went on for about 3 weeks and there was like 5-10 people in the club. And we're on the third night, I was going to give up. And I remember I was with my girlfriend that night and it was like a Thursday night. And I was with my girlfriend. I was crying in the room. I was like, I'm going to give up, babe. This promoting stuff, it's too hard trying to do it on my own. It's costing me too much money. It's cost me by that time a couple of $1,000 that I borrowed from my brother. And I was like, I'm going to give up. I'm going to go back to being normal. And then she go, okay, if you want to give up, that's fine. So we went. And then there was a moment where she goes, hold on, stop. She goes, you just ordered some new flyers. Why don't you pass out these flyers and let's give it one more shot. Give it one more shot. And if it's not cracking by this Friday, then I'll let you quit. But give it one more shot. I believe in you. And I go, really? F it. All right, one more shot. If you believe in me, let's go. And I remember I hustled really hard that week and passed out all the flyers at college and hit up all my friends. And I got lucky. My other brother-in-law had his birthday party there that Friday. So we opened the doors and we had like 75 people. I was like, what? Like, from 5-10 people to 75 people, that's a win, right? And, we broke even that night, but I was like, like this could happen. And then all those people came back the next Friday. And then after, and we had like 300-400 people for a whole year, Friday nights at the Royal Club in Seattle. Ask anybody about it. It's like the legendary Asian nightclub that we had in like 2001. So that's where it launched my whole real estate career my whole promoting career to be pretty successful in the area.
Wow, that's insane. We love a supportive girlfriend. Imagine if she had let you just quit on the spot and you hadn't gone back that Friday.
Shout out to Stephanie Nguyen. She's in San Jose too. Actually, she might be your neighbor.
I remember growing up when I was around like 18 and, there were like 18 and up clubs in the Bay Area. Like a lot of my friends were getting into promoting as well. And it was like the hot thing to do, like, would you be interested in being a promoter? Like we have these promoting spots available and clubs were always looking for promoters. And like the guys who would be the promoters who were able to get the girls in, they would always be like the popular guys, right? And your story kind of reminds me. Wow. Yeah. And so, go ahead.
It was good times, and I didn't just promote. I also did like raves and I also did concerts. Like we used to bring up One Voice and Kai to perform. There were like kind of some Asian groups that was kind of big in the early 2000s. And then we used to throw parties with like all the big improv models back in the days, like Francine Double D. I don't know if you guys remember her. And like Natasha Yee and Sasha Singleton. Like we used to bring Sasha up when she was like the hottest #1 Asian model in the world. Like that's when Hot Emperor Nights first came out. And she was Miss Hot Emperor Nights the first night. So we used to always fly her up for our grand openings of our nightclubs and nights. And she was just, man, they'll be lying down the block to see some of these girls. So yeah, man, we've been trying to do this Asian movement for a long time.
That's so awesome.
Go ahead, Maggie.
I was going to say, yeah, that's so awesome. So when you were getting super big in your promoting company, what made you decide to kind of move on from that? Because we know you moved on from promoting to getting into real estate, and as you were getting bigger and bigger in your promoting company, what was like that turning point where you were like, okay, I'm going to move on from promoting and I need to actually do something else with my life and actually, fulfill that dream?
Yeah. So I was been promoting from 18 to about 25 at that time. And that's about like 7 years. And I feel like in my career, every about 4 or 5 years in a career, I get bored with it. I think most people can relate where, you learn and grew everything you need to learn and grow from that career. And so I wanted to do something else. And at the time, we were one of the top agent promoting companies in Seattle. We had like Wednesday nights cracking, we had Friday, Saturday nights cracking. And then I remember God, I felt like I've always been a believer in like God and Jesus and, how much they bless my family and stuff. But, anyone want to believe anything else, like if they're Buddhist or Muslim or anything, like more power to you. Like there's many different vehicles to get to heaven, right? So, but I remember God was telling me, Rango, you should start getting out. You should start thinking about something else to do. And I was like, why, God? I'm at the height of promoting right now. I'm like one of the best, if not the best, agent promoting companies in Seattle. I worked the last 7-8 years to get here. Why would I want to go? And he was just like, there might be something else out better for you. And then I remember the night it was Halloween, and we were doing this big night club called the Lakeside, right there on the lake in Seattle, downtown Seattle, on the lake. It was like an amazing venue with like the Seattle skyline right behind you. People would be pulling up on their boats to come party, and it was really, really cool nightclub spot. And I invited two of my buddies there. One group was like these Cambodian gangsters that I grew up with in the Seattle housing projects, and then I also was really close with these Hawaiian Samoan guys that that are my usus, my brothers. And somehow, they were probably the two biggest, toughest crap groups at the club that night. And somehow, man, I don't know, they had too much to drink or something, but they started fighting. Right? So, and then the fight carried out to the outside of the club, and there was probably like 25 people fighting. And all my security guards, they're all Samoans. And then we're all breaking up the fight. I'm out there, and I know like everybody fighting. I'm like, bro, stop, stop. And we're grabbing people. And my Samoan security guard was grabbing my homeboy. I don't want to tell you his name, but he was grabbing him, and somehow his brother came up behind him and thought like he was one of the guys that were trying to beat him up. And his brother just pulled out a gun and just shot him like, bow, right there. And everybody stopped. And there's just smoke from the gunshot. And it happened like right behind me. So I heard a bang, and I turned around, and I see smoke, and I see my security guard, Big Pete. He walked out of the smoke, and he's like 6'5", and he's like, he held his chest. He goes, Rango, I'm shot, and like blood is coming out here. And he falls on me, and I'm like bro, like, so I lift him, and he put him on the ground, and then everything is just slow motion, and the blood is coming out of his mouth, and then at that moment, we all thought he died. Everybody stopped fighting. And then, so we're in the emergency room. It's like 2 hours later, the ambulance come get him. And we're in the emergency room like 2 a.m, and his wife's there, and he has 2 small sons. And, his kids are like small, like 3 and 5 years old. And his wife's like crying, like I told him to stop. I told him get out of this industry. I told him to quit security. I told him, why don't he listen to me, And I'm right there, and I feel so guilty because I was a person that put together these events. And I walked up to her, and I was just like, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. And that was my last nightclub. I ended it that night, and I knew it wasn't worth it if things like that's happening. And shout out to Big Pete. He survived the gunshot, and he got out of the industry. And I got it at the same time and got into real estate.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is a crazy story. And, we're so glad that Big Pete is alive and well. That must have been such a big turning point for you, because you did have, that message from God telling you to, this is a time for you to get out. And, something did happen in just right in front of you, showing you a sign. It shows that you were growing as a person. You're going through these stages in your life, telling yourself that you need to grow as a person. You need to, learn new things, and maybe like this is one end of the chapter in your life, right?
Yeah.
And
Go ahead.
I just wanted to, go ahead.
Well, it's humbling, it's because at that point, I felt like God hit it. I didn't listen to him. So he hit me with a hammer. He goes, can you hear me now? And I heard him loud and clear at that moment, because things like that, if I would have listened to it a year before that, then Big Pete, wouldn't have got shot and I got out. But, life is interesting. And it was hard going into a different career now, right? I was, my pride, my ego, my identity was wrapped up in, Rango, the successful promoter. And I was like, if I'm not promoting, what am I going to do? How am I going to make money? Am I going to go be a nobody now? I was younger and I was, kind of cocky, arrogant, but I really was scared. I didn't know what to do. So that leap of faith to go into real estate, it was really hard.
Yeah, I mean, beginning in real estate, I think it's very difficult, right? Because there's abundant of information, but there's not abundance of information out there. And it's almost like people will tell you certain things, but then you have to piece it together because it's just really that gray, because I also come from a slight real estate background as well. And kind of curious too, like, as you're making your transition over into real estate, like, did you start out as a realtor? Did you start off as an investor? Like, how did you break into real estate?
Yeah, it was a hard transition. It took me a year to finally quit promoting to get into real estate. So during that time, I was getting my license. So I would hop back on my family's catering truck. That's what I did to make money. And that was humbling because I blew through my savings from promoting in like 3 months. And after that, I didn't make any money. And so I had to swallow my pride and get back onto my family's catering truck to make ends meet. And so I could pay the bills. And then after that, I got my real estate license. And, real estate, if you're just a regular real estate broker, that's what I was doing. It's tough your first year because you really don't know what you're doing. And they're not very good training in real estate at all for whatever reason, because it's so easy to get your license. And we're kind of just a number to some of these real estate brokerages. And so, I had to work on the catering truck even after I got my real estate license. So I had 2 full-time jobs. I was doing catering from 5 a.m. till 2 p.m. Monday through Friday. And then I would get off and I'll smell like fried food because that's what we made a lot on our catering truck with burgers and fries and fried rice. And so I'll spray on some cologne, put on a nice collar shirt, and I'll go do real estate from 3 to 8, Monday to Friday. We're talking about, that was hard work, 80 hours a week of work for that whole year. And I was able to sell 6 homes my first year, which is pretty good for a new broker. And I was able to quit catering after my first year and then do real estate full time. And that's how I kind of got in the industry.
Wow, that's awesome. You also mentioned that, you are one of the leading minority-owned and most diverse real estate companies in the Washington state. How did you recruit the people that you wanted into your real estate company? And, how did you become did you intend to be like the most leading diverse company in the Washington area? And what has that, kind of taught you?
And to add on to Maggie's question as well, it's like, what have you learned from your promoter experience that you applied into your real estate experience?
Yeah, for sure. That it goes back to that night where I was crying in my room like a little baby. When I was going to give up on promoting that at the Royal Club, and my ex-girlfriend said, give it one more try. And I think I built, if I wasn't successful as a promoter, I would have probably just been an average real estate broker. But me being successful as a promoter gave me confidence to get into real estate and say, it's hard right now, and I'm barely getting by. But I made it in promoting, so I can make it in real estate. It's just gonna take some time, and it's that self-talk that you need to pump yourself up to get out there and try to chase that dream that looks like it's not working out or is working slower than you want. And so I think promoting had a lot to do with my success in real estate. But also, I was a big networker, so I knew a lot of people from the promoting days. I let in so many people free into my nightclubs and bought them so many drinks and gave them so many drink tickets. Let them skip the line all those years where I told him, you better buy a house for me. I look up all those years. You better buy a house for me once I get my license. So a lot of my first 6 clients came from the nightclub promoting industry. So I think it carried over. I was able to find a success in real estate now from my promoting days and all my the people that came to my party. But like I said, it was the entrepreneur spirit, seeing my parents grow up with starting so many businesses to get ahead. After about 2 years of being just a regular real estate broker, working for someone else, I said, you know what, I'm going to start my own real estate company, and I'm going to call it Warring Properties. And I'm going to give my brokers great training like I didn't get. And it's going to be a place where it's going to be diverse. A lot of my friends can come join, and a lot of people that can buy houses from us can, be like minority, because there still isn't that much in the Seattle Bellevue area. And if there is a minority-owned real estate company, they're not doing so good. They're cheap. They're like, pay them $150 a month, and when you close the deal, you can keep most of the commission. Like, they're not making no money, because that's kind of the Asian way sometimes to cut corners and not to really show your value. And I said, I'm going to try to do it different. It's going to be a reputable company. We're going to have like good training. You're going to have a good reputation. And I'm going to charge people 20%. Like, if you close the deal, you got to give me 20%, because I got to pay the bills. I got to go pay managers and staff. And it costs a lot to run a business. So that was kind of my mindset to start the real estate company. So I went for it after 2 years.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, I actually used to work at a real estate company as well. And it was an Asian real estate company. And the way they do things is a little different. The commission split is, they often keep a big portion of it. And the training is like not that great as well. I think the training is like the most important thing that keeps the agents actually like interested in staying with them and, actually wanting them to like learn more, and that's like the most important thing. So how were you able to kind of like create your culture within your company and leading up to being like a $4 million a year company? That is incredible. And that is such a feat to highlight as well. What were some of the things that you did to kind of create that culture within your company?
Yeah, the first 2 years of, it took me about 6 years to get it up to that point. And it was hard in the beginning. I remember I had like 2 full-time jobs. I was a real estate broker. I was still selling real estate to my clients because I had to pay the bills. And then I was running the brokerage, and I had like 5 agents on my roster. And I started with like nothing. I started with like, $500 in my pocket. And it was hard. I had 2 full-time jobs now, running the company and selling real estate. And I just kind of took that mentality when I was promoting it. I'm gonna be the best. I'm gonna one day be the leading real estate company in the Northwest. And I kind of kept that dream there. And after about a year or two, I was going to give up. I had like 15 agents on my roster. I wasn't making that much money from them because I'm still making 10 or 20% off their cut when they close the deal. But, if you have 10 agents, only like 2 are closing a deal a month. So I barely made enough to pay the bills for the office. And I was still selling real estate. I was always been a pretty good, successful real estate broker. And I had to make a decision. I was like, okay, it's 2 years now. I have 2 full-time jobs, and I got to make a decision. Either I quit selling real estate and I just focus on growing the brokerage, or I close down the brokerage and I just sell real estate. And then I made that decision to stop selling real estate and focus on the brokerage, because it's hard to be a slave to 2 masters. I was trying to do too much. And once I made the decision, that's when we really started scaling. We went from 15 to 20, then 20 to 25, then 20 to 40. Then we finally got to 50. And when I hit about 50 agents on the roster, that's where I would make enough money from the agents closing deals where the money was coming in nice, where I could pay all the bills, and I had enough to like live off of 50. That was called the magic number. And once I got to 50, I started putting money back into the company with hiring like a really good recruiter and manager, admin, and then we got it up to 125 agents, 3 offices, 10 staff members. And yeah, it wasn't easy the first couple of years, but the last, couple of years been pretty sweet once we got to that, past that more than 50 agent point. So
it's amazing. You make it sound so easy, but it's really not. It's extremely difficult. A lot of sacrifice, decision making along the way, and a lot of hustle too. Like, you really have to hustle in this industry. Both industries you're in, promoting and real estate. Real estate is a huge hustle industry just to make things happen, So hats off to you, man. I just want you to get an opportunity to pat yourself on the back, because that's a huge accomplishment. And, as you're going through this entire journey, like ever since you were a kid, like what has always been that chip on your shoulder to keep you going day in, day out? Because I feel like you're not the only one who has this chip. I feel like your siblings do too. And I love it, So what is that chip that keeps you moving and grinding and pushing through and believing in yourself every day?
Yeah, good question, Brian. That underdog mentality, I grew up in the housing project. So, we didn't have anything, growing up. My parents didn't give us anything. So it was just, we went to school with these rich white kids from Whitman Middle School, and we were the kids from the project, and they had stuff. And so for us to get stuff was we had to hustle. And sometimes people look down on housing project kids or and that kind of stuff. So I remember one of the funnest hustle we had when we were growing up in the housing projects was we wanted nice clothes. We were 13 years old at the time, and we met these older Black guys from Portland, Oregon. They were hustling in our area, and they said, they liked us for some reason. So they said, I'm going to teach you guys this hustle. So they said, go to Value Village or Value Village and buy these slacks for like $1.50 a slack, right? Docker slacks or like whatever else slacks. And then you rip the pants right at the crotch where the zippers, you rip it right there. And so there's a rip, and then you take it to Nordstrom's or JCPenney or Macy's, and you say, hey, my mom bought me these slacks for church, and I was doing the zipper and it ripped. So I need some new slacks. And then they'll give you like vouchers for these new slacks. They'll give you slacks, and then you can do it for shoes and pants and stuff like that. And so at like 15, we're all looking. The whole crew was looking nice in like slacks and dress shirts and nice shoes because we hustled. But I think just that hustling mentality of being the underdog. Just say I don't want to lose, man. I gotta win. And that's why I'm here now. And, because we were dealt a different hand, right? All of us, we came over in 1980s. Our parents did, we were behind. And so we got to work harder than some of these people that are ahead of us to get what's ours. And I always remember what Derek Jeter said, the great New York Yankees guy. He said, I was never the most talented baseball player, but no one can outwork me. And that's why he's one of the best now, because no one can outwork him. And I saw that in my mom growing up. No one outworked my mom. No one outworked my dad. And even now, like, so I don't know if you guys know. So I sold the real estate company 4 months ago. I sold it, 4 months ago to a Century 21 office. And so now I'm kind of, I'm working on the Blessed Boulder show. And I used to also develop real estate, like build high-end properties all around Seattle. So I'm going to get back into that. And me and Richie, I don't know you guys know Richie Lee. One of our passion projects was we opened up a sober living house for women and children in Kent. Basically, 9 women, 4 kids are staying there, and they're staying sober to get themselves clean. And we're running that. So I want to kind of do more stuff like that to give back to the community. So yeah, that's, but just keep on building and doing big things,
Thank you for that. And giving back to the community is such a big thing. A lot. I mean, me and Maggie, for us, is like we want to give back as much as we can to the community, and I really, really appreciate you doing the same thing. And shout out to your brother Richie Lee. Richie Lee was on our episode 51 on the Asian Hustle Network podcast. So you guys want to refer back to that to listen to the episode? That's Rango's younger brother, right?
That's my younger brother. Yeah, he's 10 years younger.
Nice.
Shout out to Richie. Wow, that's amazing. I did not know you guys were, managing a sober living house. That is incredible. And thank you for all that you're doing. Love that you guys are, giving back to the community. So Rango, we have one last question for you. And that is, if you could give one advice to an aspiring entrepreneur, what would that one advice be?
Let's see. So ask yourself, before you want to go on this venture to start this business, what do I want? Why do I want it? And how do I get it? I think, are you ready to sacrifice what it takes to start a business? It's effing hard to start any business, like it's anything. And so are you ready for the sacrifice that you have to put your family through, your kids through, your mental sanity through to get this thing that you want? Like, is it worth it? And if it is, and the right reasons why you want it, then go for it and don't give up. And but if it's selfish reasons, like just more money or fame, then I don't think that's going to carry you as far. You gotta have your heart in the right place. And one thing I started when what I learned about starting my real estate company was, I don't regret the journey I took, because the journey I took is what got me here. But man, if I could turn back time, what I would do differently would be have 50,000, 100,000 in my pocket. I would have grew, instead of 6 years, I would have got there like in 2 or 3 years with, making that money grow and hiring the right staff and having system and process in place. So have a budget to start a business. Don't do it like me with $500 in your pocket, because that was damn hard the first year. That's one. Two is get some experience. Like, I wish I would have went and worked for a real estate brokerage for about a year. Just kind of get their system process down, get the numbers down of how to recruit and how to manage people. And even if I would have worked there for free, just getting that experience interning, it's worth so much. And I forgot the third reason, but yeah, if I was to start a real estate company, it'd be those two things how I would do it over.
Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that, Rango. And how can our listeners find out more about you and your Blessed Voters show online?
Yeah, so we're on Apple Podcasts, so you can find us there. We drop new episodes every Thursday, and we're on a Spotify podcast. We're dropping Richie's episode tomorrow. We interviewed him. And also, you can find us on YouTube. If you watch the show on YouTube, you get pictures and some graphics, and you get to see me and my co-host, Mylin Pham. She's you get to see us instead of just listening to us. But yeah, all those ways you can check me out on Instagram, Rango Blaze, Rango Blaze, Rango Blaze. And we have a group Facebook page called Blessed Voters. You can join the page, and we're talking about refugee stories on there. And go to my website, rangodlee.com, Rango, the letter D, and then le.com. I still do, sell higher real estate and to pass the time. And also this year, I'm going to just be mainly working on the show, getting it as far as into many people's hands as possible, so they can be uplifted and inspired. And then I think in the next couple months, I'm going to start on developing and building more real estate properties and opening up more sober living houses, and just keep on building on the success I had before, and just having fun with it.
Awesome. Always hustling. We will leave all of those links in our show notes for this podcast, but it was awesome hearing your story today, Rango. Thank you so much for sharing with us. Yeah,
thank you so much, Rango, for being the podcast, man, and huge inspiration to your story. Very relatable to my own life story as well. And I really appreciate what you do. So keep hustling, dude.
Yeah, sounds good. Thanks, Brian. Thanks, Maggie.
Of course. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed this episode. Please subscribe to the show.
We would like to get to the top 10 on iTunes, so be sure to leave us a 5-star review. We release an episode every single Wednesday, so stay tuned.
Thank you guys so much.